Hello and welcome to lesson 1 of week 1. In this lesson, we are going to look at the basic structure of an HTML document. We are also going to look at the head part of an HTML document. My name is Mildred. Now, for you to follow with this course, if you are a PC user, you want to download Visual Studio Code. It's going to be the text editor that we'll use for this course. If you want to download this, just go to code.visualstudio.com. We have Atom, we have TextEdit that comes default with Mac, we have Notepad that comes default with Windows. But if you're not using a PC and you want to use a phone to practice and follow with this course, head over to the school site and log on with your credentials. Then on the left side menu, you have dedicated course code pad. You select HTML code pad and then you can write your HTML code here and you find the result on the right side. So let's try. When you're using the school code pad, you don't need to do anything else, no installation needed, and you don't need to save any. Whenever you refresh your browser or you log out and come back another time, your code remains for you to continue from where you stop, except you clear your local storage. So we're going to use Visual Studio Code for the pre-recorded videos, and you can follow and practice using the code pad if you are using your phone. So remember that we use dedicated course code pad. You go to HTML code pad to use this. The code pad ID here is for other languages that you might want to use, but for this course you use HTML code pad. Alright, HTML stands for Hypertext Markup Language. Now, it is not a programming language, it is a markup language. And what we mean is that you declare tags, and it's what you declare that is displayed on the web. So we have data that are encapsulated within tags. Let's create a file and let's try this. I'll name this file index.html and I'll save it on my desktop. The first line of an HTML5 document is a doctype declaration within doctype like this. You'll start with a less than sign, an exclamation mark, doctype, HTML, and a greater than sign. You might want to use a convention and write this in uppercase later, if you wish. Now, what this declaration does is tells browsers, especially older browsers, how to pass this document. So it just tells them, oh, here comes an HTML5 document. So this is why you put this on the first line of an HTML5 document. The next line, the HTML document, is the HTML tag. Now the HTML tag is the tag that holds all of the content for the document. Tags are what we write elements in HTML. We write a tag with a less than sign, then the name of the element, and then a greater than sign. This is for the start tag. If we want to write an end tag, we write a less than sign, followed immediately by /, the name of the element, and then a greater than sign to close. Now, not all elements have start and end tags, and we're going to see them as we go along. The elements that do not have end tags are elements that do not hold any content between them, but they just provide additional information using attributes. And when we talk about attributes, we mean things that are specified in the tag of the HTML element. So you put a name for the attribute and then the value quoted for that attribute, and we're going to look at it. So we call this a start tag, we call this an end tag. At the start tag, we call whatever you write here an attribute and equal to the value. So this HTML tag, we can put the lang attribute that we can use to specify the document language. So sometimes when you go to the browser window and you see it's telling you that this page is written in Spanish, do you want to translate in English, and you translate, is because the document language has been specified. So English is EN, there are several language code, and we'll look at that when we go deep. Now, between the start and the end HTML tag, you specify two tags, the head and the body. So there are two parts to the document, the head part and then the body part. Both of them have a close tag. So just like the name specifies, the head part does not hold any information that displays on the web page, but instead it holds metadata, information about information, things like meta tags that search engine uses to index your pages, the title tag that you can use to put a title for the document, the link tag that you use to put a link to external style sheet, the script tag to external JavaScript file, and so on. And we're going to look now at all the elements that comes between the start and the end tag. So this we have here the basic structure of an HTML element. Now, file extension. Whenever you save a file, you see we use .html. When you save a web file, the file extension is .html. We see sometimes we have .htm, but it's preferable you just use .html as the extension of every HTML file that you create. Alright, and once you create this, we created this on the desktop. So if I go to my desktop, I can open with, and I want to open this with Google Chrome, and it opens here, so I can see my blank web page, my index.html file. And so we're going to be testing whatever we do on this page. Now, the head part of the document has several tags. Some of these tags are void elements and they do not have close tag, which means that they just have information that we use to provide information about the data or about the page. One of such is the base tag. Now, the base tag is written base is a void element. When we say it is void, it means that it doesn't have a close tag, and you can self-enclose using the / before the greater than sign. Now, this base tag takes attributes. So we say attributes are things that you specify. They are like modifiers for the tags that gives additional information. Now, what additional information do we want for the base tag, and what is the base tag? So when we have a site, let's go to the site here. We have this site and the domain is schoolofprogramming.online. Now, everything after schoolofprogramming.online, when you see a / is called the path. This path is the index.php. If I go to sign up, this becomes the path register.php. Alright, if I go to catalog, we'll get catalog.php like this. So now, if I want to specify this URL, let's say I come to the code here and just ignore what an anchor tag is for now, and I want to write catalog, the href attributes, and then for the href attributes, we just want to specify the location of where we want to go when this link is clicked, right? When I come to the page and I refresh my index page, I'll find that when I click on this, it goes to that page that I want it to go to. But if I have another page, let's say I want to come here and put the home page. I don't want to keep writing all of these parts all the time. Let's say home, and here it's going to be index. So every time I have a link like this, I come here, I go to home, I can go back, go to catalog, but I don't want to keep doing this of writing this long list. I can, in the base tag, specify the href attribute and now specify the base URL for the page. Since every part of the page uses this domain, I'm going to cut this off and I'll put this as the href attribute. And so now that it's there at the base, I can delete it from this other one, and so it knows that this is the base URL, and just look for the index parts, the catalog parts. So these are parts and these are the base URL. So once we do this now and we come to this page and we refresh, when I click on home, it goes to the correct page. When I click on catalog, it goes to the correct page. Now you can see that this opens in its same browser window. We can change this to open in a new browser window by specifying the target attribute, and we can put this to blank, which means open in a new browser window. Alright, the target attribute has different values you can use. The blank self is the default. When you specify self, it just opens in the same browser window. But when we say blank like this and we save and we refresh our page and we click on this, it opens a new window. So we can always come back to the old window and it opens new windows like that. So now we've seen how we use attributes within a tag, and we know what a base tag is. We have something we call the link tag. Now we're not going to look at the link tag in details, but the link tag is also a void element. It doesn't have a close tag but takes attributes. Now the link tag uses the real attribute to specify what it is that this link tag is doing. So we use it most commonly to specify a style sheet, an external style sheet that holds a style that you want to specify across pages. And so we use the real attribute to say style sheet, and then we have the href attribute that will give us the location of the file that we want to include on the page. When we have the link tag, you can use that to put the style sheet. There are other uses of the link tag, an icon on the page. So you can see this page has an icon on the title here. It's not just this globe sign. We can use the link tag to specify an icon, and so the reel now will not be style sheet, but the reel will now become ICO like this, and then the href will specify the image that you want to use for your icon. We also use the link tag to do other stuff, like we use it to specify an alternate path like this. We use link reel alternate, and all of this, we'll look at this in the full stack course when we're having production ready sites where we want to have an alternate link. And this is basically all for search engine, when we have canonical also and all of that, where we can specify paths for search engines. So we know what a link tag is useful in summary. So we have the style tag. I'm just going to take all of this off, and we use the style tag now to embed styles on the page. We are not going to look at style here. The second course after this is cascading style sheet, where we look in details at the different properties and values in CSS. But in the head area here, you can specify a style tag that we use to embed styles on the web page. And so we're going to minimally use this, and we're going to also use attributes to specify style on the page. So for instance, let's say I'll remove this, and let's say I have a paragraph. We're going to look at this soon. Close paragraph. And I want to have a style for it, so I'll put the name of the HTML element, curly brace, and I want to make the color to be aqua, right? So this is how we write style between the style tag. And when I come to my page here and I refresh, I have that in aqua. When I remove the style, this is going to be black, or I can just change this to be red, and then we can see the style is red. So we'll look at CSS in detail in another course where we do cascading style sheet, but we're going to do it in minimum portions in this course. And if you have an assignment that includes styles, we're going to provide you with the styles. So we have also the script tag when you want to include JavaScript. Again, we're not doing JavaScript in this course, but when we have to include a script, we're going to use this to demonstrate how we write JavaScript between the start and end script tag. If you want an external script tag, you just put an attribute here, source, and then you specify the value, which is now the path, the location of the file that holds the script that you want to apply to the page here. So the script tag is found in the head element sometimes, and most of the time you find it in the body elements. And when we get to JavaScript, we'll discuss why you put them sometimes just before the close body tag, and why you put them on the head element sometimes. Then we have the meta tag. Meta tag is one of the most important tags, and we write meta tag. Now meta tag does not have a close tag. You can self-enclose by using a /. And the meta tag has several uses. We use this to provide metadata. One is the character set that the page keeps to, and most commonly UTF-8 is the best choice. And so the meta tag will have char set attributes like this, and the value will now be equal to the character set you want to use. Since we are using English language, and UTF-8 also provides characters and symbols for several languages and more universal, so we use UTF-8 as the character set. We'll have another meta tag, put several meta tags on the page, and this meta tag will take the name attribute. Now we have several names we can have. If the value for the name attribute is viewport, what you are trying to do is to make your page responsive. You want, when the page loads, what is going to be, does it capture the device size, what is loading? You want it to be responsive, you want it to avoid having horizontal scrolls, and when you load the page, you want the style sheets to be able to identify the device size and the screen width and all of those things. You use meta name equal to viewport, and then you now have a content attribute where you use to specify the two parts of this meta tag. One is the width, which will have the device width, and the initial scale when the page loads. And so we'll put meta content is equal to width, and the width will be equal to device width, and then you use a comma, and initial scale will be equal to 1.0. So this is important. You must have this at the top of your web page like this to make sure that you have a responsive site. We have the meta tag that we can use to specify the name of the author, the description of the site, the keywords for the site, so that when people are searching Google, for instance, they search keywords, you want your sites to be indexed. And when the site is indexed, that short description you see when you trying to search in Google about a site or about a particular link is what comes in the description part. So if you want your sites to be well indexed, this is part of search engine optimization, where you come here and put all of these meta tags that help search engine. Now it is not very clear what most of these search engines use these days, but we know that in the past this is all they use most of the time. We even have the one for robots. If it's a robot size looking at the page, you want to know where it goes, whether you should index the page or you should follow other links. And let's say, for instance, we want to use if there's a bot here, we'll say meta name is equal to robots, and then I want to put the content, and you should just follow the links like that. Okay, so let's do meta name equal to author, and then content is equal to, you now put all of the names of the author or whatever name you want. When this is search, what should come out? So when you say name is equal to author, let's say the content is School of Programming and Software Development. So when somebody searches School of Programming, it comes out. If the author name is my name, you search my name, it's likely that this page will also be indexed also. All right, you can also have a description. So once the search engine gets this page, what description do you want to have there? So meta name is equal to description within description, and then the content will now be a short description of the page. Whatever description you want will come as the value of the content attribute. Then you can also put keywords. So when this keyword is searched, you want to see how your page displays or your page is indexed. Okay, so sometimes when you do a Google search, when some pages rank higher, there are different criteria, but the meta tag also comes in handy. So you can put several keywords here and say I want to put programming as one, I want to put software development. So exhaustive keywords that people can search, and this page should be indexed, and then the description is what is displayed under that. So you'll see several meta tags and different meta names and values, but in summary, you know what the meta tag is used for. And the last we're going to look at now is the title tag. Title tag is written title, and the title tag is what we use to specify the name for the file on the browser window. Here we have index.html. We want to change that to be, let's say, Home School of Programming and Software Development, like this, and then when I refresh my page, I get that home here as the name on the browser window. So this is basically every element on the head part. As we go deeper and as you become a full stack developer, you'll be to use more elements in the head area of your document. But for now, we want to familiarize ourselves in this course to know what exists, how to use them when we need to use them, and you don't need to master them or write them on any of your file as you practice for now. And when we get to the full course of front-end development, you can now use all of this information that you have to now build a fully functional front end of a web page. So this is where we end this lesson. In the next lesson, we're going to look at the body element. Thank you, and see you in the next lesson.